to the first episode of our talk show, Education Contemplation. I'm your host, Joshua Preza, and I wanted to let you know a little bit about the podcast before we start our first episode. So basically, I hired my team here to talk about numerous issues plaguing the American education system today. So here we have
Gustavo Marino Martinez.
Juan Fernandez.
Francis Biana.
And I'm your host, Joshua Preza. So, Gustavo, I understand that for the first topic of education contemplation, it's going to be about uniforms. So can you tell us a little bit about it?
Yeah, so the thing about uniforms is that we know that it's a global issue. You know, some schools mandate, some schools don't. And a lot of people, there's a kind of divide. Some people think that it's a nuisance to education that kind of hinders the performance of students. But other people argue that it actually promotes union and school spirit. So I just wanted kind of to introduce the question and see what you guys think. Do you think that it impacts education positively or negatively? I just wanted to hear your opinions about that.
Honestly, I can start with the main thing is I'm personally against uniform.
Mm-hmm.
Like even like right now you can see me. I'm personally very against them for the simple reason that I feel like it just kind of puts a burden. I don't really know how to explain it very well, but clothes is a way you kind of express yourself.
Yeah.
Like, you guys can understand that, right?
Yeah.
So whenever you're locked to a certain style or a certain piece of clothing, you can't really do that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Even if you're locked into like, even if you're not locked into like fashion or all that, you just want to like wear clothes. It sets up like a bunch of like these stupid rules about, oh, you got your hoodie on, you got to take that off. Like, it's really dumb.
Honestly, I didn't care about uniforms. Like, no, I'll go in uniform, I'll be a good kid. But that was back when like all my outfits were ugly. Like if I went to school with what I wore, I'd be laughed at.
Yeah.
I think a lot of uniform kind of looked better when I was wearing. But now, you know, I got my sense of fashion. I kind of like going to school without uniform. I actually feel that self-expression. You
I
know?
feel like some schools, they really treat it to like a very high degree. Like they think that if you wear a hoodie or something that's not school uniform, it's kind of like a threat to education, that you're kind of just like getting in the way. You're in the way of other students learning. You're like negatively impacting them. And I don't really think that's really the case.
Honestly, can you talk about the dress code and charter? Because for us here, it's a bit different from you guys.
We all make fun of you guys.
Yeah. So for context, I'm actually a senior at the Academy for Urban Leadership, and we have a uniform policy where you have to wear a button-down white shirt, a tie, dress pants, black shoes, you know. It's supposed to be strict, but as of recently, they've been a little lax about it. Some kids, they come in with like a loose white shirt. Sometimes they come in with just like regular cargo pants. But I know in my early years, freshman and sophomore year, they did mandate it. And a lot of students protested about it. It wasn't really fair to some of them because it was expensive. I think back in the day, it was like $45 to $50 for a button-down white shirt.
Just a shirt?
Just a shirt.
Nah.
Yeah. And I think now they switched the vendors. So now it's $40 for the shirt and an extra $8 for the logo.
Damn, that's
Yeah.
expensive.
For uniform
Yeah, it's expensive.
that you have to
And
wear.
You see, and it literally just comes back to the topic how I said, because even, like, I know you said you have a style of fashion and, like, you would get, like, made fun of and stuff for your old, like, the way you used to wear clothes. But it's not even about that, because you guys know me. I don't really have, like, a specific sense of passion. But it's just about comfort.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me, personally, I don't feel comfortable, like, in uniform.
that's another thing.
Yeah, it's pretty
So-
bad.
Just the way that I'm able to just come in, like, actually comfortable, I kind of focus more on the actual class itself, other than how I'm feeling or like how other people are seeing me and stuff.
Yeah.
No, because it was bad, man. I don't think you understand the Adidas track pants, and I wear like a gradient Hollister hoodie. Oh man, I thought that was like the craziest thing.
Even like the polo shirts are like super uncomfortable.
They
like,
are,
so
though.
itchy.
Like scratchy.
And they're like so tight, like
Yeah.
it's annoying. And you have to wear, like, they put rules on that, you have to wear them.
Even to this day, like, you wash them like twice, and that also goes to the factor of spending money. Our uniform is not that expensive. It's like $10 a shirt or something like that. But you wash it a few times, and the quality just drops. Like throughout the year, I would have to buy multiple, and that's like a lot more money where I could just use the clothes I have in my closet.
Yeah.
That's
Even in
another
like
issue.
going in like the stores to like Kid City or like
That's
the old
so
uni-
annoying.
the old like uniform store, like you have those like big lines. You gotta wait. You gotta like have those like 5 shirts in your hand and 5 pants in the other. Those are irritating.
Yeah, I think that's a very big contradiction of the education system, especially in public schools, because the whole point of public school is that it's free education. But when you have to spend money on uniforms like every other year, that kind of takes away from that. So I just feel like comfort is important. I'm not saying we should like come to school every day and just like pajamas, whatever you want, but when you're wearing something that's comparable to sandpaper, it doesn't really help
Yeah.
how you learn in school.
But I mean, we're kind of dogging on uniforms kind of heavy. I can see why you have them though. Because like, they're like, I don't know, just having one uniform thing, I can see like, they say now for the last safety reasons. I think that was why they were going so hard on it, like September, safety reasons, and like just in general, just having a uniform, I guess it makes the school look better as well. It makes the whole system look better.
I guess it promotes like a sense of union, school spirit.
A spirit kinda.
Yeah.
Because everyone was saying uniform, but
I can definitely agree with the spirit, but there's so many different ways where you can promote school spirit other than uniform.
Even even like a simple like sweater that has like school logo, like that's really good.
Like all I'm saying is, uniforms aren't bad. They definitely do help. It's just for what they are used for, there can be like a lot of other options. And how Gustavo said, it just puts an unnecessary expense in public school. So,
yeah, I don't know. In a way, I feel like that is kind of interesting because I think I remember there was a study in 2017 that talked about how uniforms, like some of the major retailers, is like most profitable ventures. Like I think JCPenney, they talked about how school uniforms is a very big time of year for them. They make a lot of money off of cardigans, pants, and it really makes you think. If public schools, their main goal, their main like purpose is to provide free education for people that need it, like high schoolers, teenagers, then isn't selling school uniforms or mandating them really just like doing an injustice to the students, especially when it's kind of hindering their education in the process as well?
definitely.
And it also does depend on the environment. Like I know here where we're located at Perth Amboy, there's some students that they can't afford uniforms.
Yeah.
It's too expensive. It's too much to do. So I really don't think it's fair to some of them. But in private schools, that's a completely different story. If you're going to a private school or religious school, yeah, it's fine for them to mandate uniform, I guess, in certain scenarios. But in a public school where their main purpose is to do a service to the students, provide an economic, alternative to other schools, and I don't think that's fair.
I mean, as a charter student, do you think you should, you guys think you should have uniforms?
That's a very difficult question. Because a lot of people regard us as a charter school. Our slogan is literally a public charter school, which I feel like is kind of an oxymoron, but I feel like we are a public school. Kids, they kind of treat us as like an alternative to Perth Amboy High or other schools in the area. So I feel like if we're being treated like a public school, why don't we just mandate, we don't have to mandate a uniform, but we can maybe have more of a lax dress code, maybe like a polo shirt, not like coming in every day with like a suit and tie.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's also a matter of comfort because the shirts nowadays, the quality has gone down drastically. It's very uncomfortable to wear one. I'm not even wearing one myself right now. But it's not fun. So I guess maybe having an alternative to that, to the uniform, might be better. We don't have to abolish it completely, but I know there are some sustainable alternatives to it.
I also wanted to talk about like go more into detail about like the sort of punishments you get for not wearing uniform. I know that it's not really that big this year, but I remember last year, if you walk into school and you're not wearing uniform, a security guard will like catch you and put you in like the lower, like I think the upper gym.
Yep.
And then you have to like, you get like 45 minutes of detention, which
My
is
God, you
really
remember
dumb.
the croc out last year?
Yeah, they had, I think it was when Mr. Heidelberg, our old principal, he got out for like 2 weeks,
on
right?
leave, yeah,
He was on leave. So Mrs. Spagna was like the new principal, and she had these like strict rules on sweatpants and Crocs that nobody liked. Like even Mr. Heidelberg himself, he was pretty relaxed on them.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess it's the type of thing where like eventually it was gonna have to like get ratted out because I don't know. Think of public schools, especially in a place like Amboy High, they try to maintain their image pretty high, and like we do a lot of things to maintain the image pretty high. And I'd say the school's pretty decent for the area we're in and stuff. So I guess eventually they had to clamp down on the Crocs, but the Croc out was very funny.
I mean, me personally, I feel like it worked because
We got him.
this year. We
Yeah.
got him.
We got them. But like,
Yeah, so like that whole Croc ban last year was just pointless then.
Yeah, it was. it
seeing
was
those
part of it.
kids get marched into the auditorium was
It was
a
fun.
sad sight to see.
No, but overall, honestly, I feel with our school specifically, the punishments aren't horrible. It's more like other schools where I've seen different cases where they would go crazy just for not wearing uniform.
Yeah.
So I can't really think of the specific school in my head, but I know there's many schools where you would just straight up get sent home if you violated any of the dress code. And they wouldn't, I mean, you would be able to come back, but what about like the parents and stuff? If they had to work, you wouldn't be able to come back, and that was just an absence already.
And these are like public schools, right? Like normal schools?
Exactly, these
Oh,
are
God.
public schools, these are not private schools.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I know, and I got a coworker from Woodbridge, and she was saying how they have basically no uniform there.
Literally, yeah.
I mean, I know you have a cousin from Woodbridge, right?
no, I feel like we should always have a dress code.
Yeah, at least a dress code.
yeah.
Definitely not. Like, but like a strict uniform where you have to wear a specific shirt. I feel like that's kind of unnecessary for a public school. Again, for private school, it's different because you yourself are paying for the image of the school. But when it's a public education and they're the ones doing you the service, it's a bit different. It's mainly what I feel.
Yeah.
I mean, going on further to the punishment, like you were saying, I'd like to go a bit on the punishment to students because just in general, like going back to uniforms, so such small infractions can lead to like punishments that just, I don't know, they're just like way too much. Like especially like, for example, like a senior, you're getting someone who's 17, 18 and telling them to stay after school for 30 minutes, being watched by a teacher, basically being babysat. Like,
Yeah.
at a certain point, they're not gonna care.
I do feel like detention is kind of unnecessary.
It is.
Yeah, and in general, like students who get punished constantly, like they constantly get suspended, constantly get detention, they're way more likely to end up dropping out and way more likely to go straight into the prison system. And it's just an unfortunate thing to see. And especially because our current punishments, if you really think about it, suspension, expelling, and detention, it's kind of focusing on isolating the student, getting them away from the school environment, which I feel like we shouldn't be doing. Like, we have guidance counselors, we have like resources to send them to places where they can get like much better care.
So kind of like a sort of like rehabilitation. I can't even say the word.
Rehabilitation.
Yes.
Yeah, because I know like for more serious offenses we do that, but a student gets suspended like 5 times. At a certain point, you gotta realize the suspending them the 6th time isn't gonna work. You gotta do something different.
Yeah, I've heard
Yeah.
I've heard personal cases where it gets to a point where they see the suspension as a vacation.
Literally.
Like once they're suspended a certain amount of so obviously someone like us and stuff like that, we never get suspended. If we do get suspended, we're gonna get mad. We're gonna try to fight it. But if you're suspended constantly, it kind of gets to a point where you're like,
Just don't care.
Yeah.
there's no point.
And I feel like that for detention, especially like in like Saturday school. Do we do Saturday school here?
Yeah,
We do,
we
there's
do.
like a Saturday detention.
Yeah, if you
Oh.
if you have detention and you have detention time, you can make it up Saturday mornings.
I know, but like some schools have required Saturday.
yes,
detention.
that
That's-
required
that
Saturdays.
is crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah, Charter used to have that last year. We're bringing it back this year, actually. So
Really?
that's gonna be
Really?
very
That
interesting.
is
Have you heard
wild.
from kids who've had it?
Last year they said that there wasn't actually much to do. They just sat there, maybe did a bit of work, but it wasn't really a punishment. It was just kind of easy time.
Yeah,
Sit there.
because like let's look at a Saturday. It's like we get 2 days off of school for the whole week, and you want to spend like a chunk of one of those. It might be a small chunk, but still a chunk of one of those at school, sitting, but teacher watching you, and you have detention.
Yeah.
Honestly, I kind of like our detention system here because we have the PC.
Yeah, that's what
Oh,
the
yeah,
enrichment
that's
center.
great.
The fact that you can make up detention there, honestly, I feel like it's really good because
yeah,
it's
if
incredible.
you're constantly late and stuff, you're missing a lot of your class. So the fact that you can go to the media center and make up that time, you're kind of doing work at the same time, making up detention,
Yeah,
which I personally really like.
yeah, because like I was saying before, you know, in some detentions, like I think of McGinnis, you just sit in a room.
Yeah, exactly. You just sit in a room.
Here
like-
you get access to the materials, you get access to resources,
Teachers.
teachers, tutor. We're gonna have tutors soon. I'm gonna be a tutor. So tutors and all that stuff, and they can help you out. And a lot of teachers are really cool teachers. You could talk to them, and just a lot more resources, a lot more opportunities for these kids.
Oh, they're
to,
starting to sound like a sponsor.
Yeah,
like
you're
a
trying to-
sponsored
you're trying to
sponsored
promote
by the
something.
Perth Amboy High School Enrichment Center.
No, it's cool though. Like the PEC, it's really
Yeah,
not
it's nice.
sponsored.
even if you don't have detention, it's still really nice to go
Yeah.
to because
Mm-hmm.
there's always teachers for like every subject. Damn, this is really sounding like a sponsored
To add on that, yeah, me and Josh last year, we went to the Panthers Enrichment Center last year to work on like a project that we had to do like the night of, right?
Yeah.
It was the El Salvador history one.
Oh my God. Yeah.
Yeah, and then we had a debate meeting that same day too. So we went there instead, and like we actually got like it was a lot better. We actually got work done,
Yeah.
which we thought like if we did it at home, like we would not have like jack, you know.
Yeah, because it's like I'm chilling on my computer, and I got 2 monitors. I'm looking on my left. You know, I see my work. Look at my right. I see Overwatch. I see gaming right there. It's like the devil on my shoulder telling me you can do that work later. It's time to game.
Yeah.
Now to start gaming.
Well, when we were in the PEC, it was just our work. Like it was just our
Yeah,
like school
literally,
laptop.
no other option.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a responsibility of the school to really allocate resources towards that instead of focusing on something like kind of trivial like uniforms. Because again,
Yeah.
having uniforms in the first place, it kind of distracts from other things. Like if you would have a staff meeting, maybe that you would only talk about uniforms, how kids are not complying, has issues with it. I know that's what happens at charter, especially last year. I would go to some of the staff meetings. 40 minutes is just straight uniform is what they can do to get kids to comply.
That's delusional.
And it's just sometimes you wonder that if they didn't have it in the first place, if there was a dress code, something more lax, they wouldn't have that problem. They would have more time to delegate other resources.
It's actually important things.
Exactly. Like you were talking about the Richmond Center. Our school, we don't have a dedicated tutoring program. From three to 4, it's technically a study hall, but we just have kids like roaming the hallways, just doing whatever they want.
Yeah.
They could visit a teacher if they want, but they're not going to get the help that they need because there's no dedicated service to it.
Exactly. The teachers aren't there like right in front of us. Like going back to the enrichment center, there's always teachers just there, and they're a lot of the time they even walk around offering help. So
Literally.
Yeah.
And I mean, since there's a lot of uniforms, it just don't seem important. Like really thinking about it, like we are going to go to college next year, and they're worried about what we are wearing, what we're doing. Like we're seniors.
Yeah, I remember an argument that a teacher made about, he was talking about, I think it was during the time they announced like the IDs, like scanning the IDs, like wearing uniform. He made the argument that, oh, it's like you're getting ready to have a job anywhere. We're gonna have to wear a uniform and bring your ID, so you might as well just take it. I'm like, I don't know about that. I mean, we're still like, we're kids, like we're in high school. We should use that time as a kid to just express, be ourselves, enjoy the time we have while we're young, you know?
see, I definitely agree with that. Except I personally like IDs, just as a security thing.
Yeah, it's a security thing, obviously.
Yeah, because you get to when you enter the school, you have to check in with an ID, or else anyone could just walk in.
Yeah,
IDs are.
I'm
okay.
very pro ID. Uniform.
uniform.
That's
no.
like one of the things. Like how I said, there's different things. Like they said, uniforms are for security reasons. Anyone can just buy a Perth Amboy High School uniform.
Literally.
True.
Yeah.
Now IDs, not everyone can get a Perth Amboy High School ID. So
I mean, I also see the argument that if there's no uniform and someone comes in with just a bunch of baggy clothing, you don't know what they have. You know, if you have a uniform, you can just see like their skin and everything. You can see what they have. You know, there's an assurance that they're not gonna have a weapon on them or that they're not gonna bring harm to
I mean, you're
students.
acting like you can't just get a baggy uniform if you are really going to go that way.
I mean, yeah, that kind of contributes to the argument. It doesn't really matter.
It doesn't do
It doesn't
anything.
matter in the first place.
Yeah, I mean, it's just articles of clothing. Like, it really shouldn't matter that much. And I don't know. I also heard that uniform and dress codes are very like, they target women a lot. Like, basically, they're a lot more restrictive on what women can wear rather than men. And like, I don't know. It just feels like it's not only like it doesn't do anything. It actively like hurts people's self-expression. And like a lot of the dress code and uniform were based off very old, like like some of these like uniforms have been around for years, like dated. Maybe I'm not gonna throw like the sexist word around. It might be honestly. It's probably sexist, yeah. Like it's just like men can wear basically like kind of close to whatever they want as long as it's not crazy. But women, they have to make sure I can't show this, can't show this. Have to be like there are some places like, oh, your skirt length has to be up to here. Like it's just a lot of.
Yeah, I remember seeing a video that blew up. It was like made by a school. It talked about like like dress code and all that, but all this, and it like showed like a bunch of students like breaking the dress code. But the problem was that all the students were girls, wearing like, I guess, bras, like booty shorts and all that. And a lot of people were saying, well, why aren't any men in there? They can break the rules too. They can wear tank tops, they can wear hats, like all that.
Yeah.
So it was pretty interesting.
It's a very like gender specific argument because like men generally like uniform or not the way like we actually like, I guess it won't change very much, and that's just, I don't know what's going on there.
I wish I could add to that topic, but honestly, I haven't gone through that, obviously. But from what I've heard from some friends, they do get dress coded a lot more than guys.
Yeah, literally. Like,
So-
I hear it a lot more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I actually think it's funny you say that because at my school, because they serve grades 7 through 12. I remember in 8th grade, we had a dress on day, and this girl, she came in with this like blouse, but there were holes like on the shoulder, so you could see her shoulder. So it wasn't that much, it was like 1 or 2 inches. And she got dress coded. I remember they called her mother, and for the rest of the day, she had to like wear a jacket over it.
For her shoulder?
You could see her shoulders. That's why they dress coded her. And I remember that was dumb. I asked the principal that day. I said, like, why'd you dress code? They said, oh, you know, like the boys could get riled up.
For
I said,
shoulder?
for shoulders. It's just.
Maybe like 200 years ago.
Yeah,
like-
I just feel like, where's the cutoff?
Yeah.
Like, how ridiculous does that have to get before you realize, hey, maybe this isn't going to cause any like issue with the students?
Yeah, it's not even like the whole shoulder was being revealed. It was just like a hole, right?
Yeah, it's
That
just
is
a whole.
wild.
There's definitely a bias there because I know kids in 8th and even now that they wear like tank tops. Like sometimes they go shirtless for a gym period, and they don't get any punishment.
Shirtless for a
Shirtless,
period?
yeah. Those volleyball games, they get intense.
Oh my
That's all I'm
God.
saying. That's all I'm saying.
Is that what's rounding up the boys, the volleyball games?
I guess.
That's wild.
Yeah.
Oh my god. No, I haven't really. Well, the only thing I've seen from your school is honestly just their social media and stuff. So I don't have really experience with
I
that.
don't hear a lot of good things about your school though.
Yeah, it's a very. I remember a couple years ago we had a bit of a conflict because I remember we have a code of conduct and they had the uniform policy, and for the boys it just said shirt, tie, pants, black shoes. For the girls, they weren't very specific. It said like the skirt cannot be like 2 to 3 inches higher than your knee. 1 bracelet, 1 pair of like earrings, jewelry.
Earrings?
Yeah,
Wait, what?
They went to the accessories too. It was like,
Jewelry?
Accessories.
yeah, it was excessive, and yeah, there was like kind of a protest, and they eventually changed it. But
That's good.
that time period was wild. It definitely matters the consistency of how you issue the discipline because it's not just about like difference between boys and girls and gender. There's some times that the school can't really catch everyone that's on a uniform, so it really promotes like an unfair system. So for example, I remember there was this girl. She came completely under uniform. She had like a crop top, leggings, Crocs. This was like last year, junior, and she didn't get coded at all. She just went on about the day. I came in with black pants because I didn't have anything else. Black pants. I got dress coded. I got written up.
That's
Everything else was fine. I had my shirt and tie.
That's nuts.
It's like, if you're gonna do a dress code, at least be consistent with it.
Yeah, definitely.
Like you're not playing a lottery. Like, oh, am I gonna get dress coded? Are they not gonna care? Like it's just annoying to know.
Yeah,
'cause, like,
if you're not really consistent with it, it's more of just a guessing game. And at that point, what's the point of having it?
there's
That's not
sometimes like
really
that in Amboy
discipline.
too.
Yeah.
Cause like I'll like walk something like this every day. I'm like good, and then one day I walk in, got a flannel shirt on, walking in, and they're like, "Oh, you're not wearing uniform." But like he was like, "I like your flannel though, so you can go."
What?
I'll let you. He's like, "I'll let you off with a warning."
No
Nah.
names.
No names, no names.
No names, no
He let me
names.
off with a warning. So, I mean, I appreciate it, but like now every time I go there, I have that feeling like, what if they just check me? He's not liking the flannel. He's not liking the crew neck. I get written up.
Yeah, I got that a lot, like that feeling during the beginning of the year with the hoodies.
Oh, the hoodies.
Yeah, that was bad. Like on the first day, they were like guarding the door and telling everyone if they had a hoodie to take it off.
Oh my
Like,
god.
that was dumb. And every day after that, I would like only wear crew necks, but I would see people with hoodies on, so I would wonder, did you get punished for that or no? Can I wear a hoodie? Like I had to like worry about all that.
Exactly. It gets to the point where you're like waiting like you're basically just expecting them to just not care because they just aren't consistent with it.
Yeah.
So you were just waiting for that time in the year where like they just didn't care anymore. Even though technically you're out of the dress code because of the hoodie. That's technically still a rule.
Yeah.
I think that's interesting because I know at Charter specifically, we have this thing called like blackout periods. That's what's unofficially called. Basically, the week before and after a break, you have to come in uniform or else you're getting caught no matter what. This has worked sometimes. Like they do that, but sometimes they don't. But it's like it creates a sense of paranoia. Like sometimes if you don't have anything else to wear, it's like, oh damn, I have to wear this today. And even on dress down days, it sounds dumb. On dress down days when I know I'm gonna pay, I'm out of uniform, but it's allowed. I still get paranoid that I'm gonna walk in and they're gonna dress code me immediately.
Yeah.
So it's just, I feel like no student should really have to go around their day like fearing if they're gonna get written up because the system made it so inconsistent.
Yeah.
So I don't really think that's fair.
I mean, obviously, we're not saying that Amboy should start clamping down on uniforms.
Yeah, definitely
We're
not.
saying that. There's plenty of alternatives. I feel like a dress code would suit this high school very well. Like, it's just a basic thing. Like, I don't know if Woodbridge has a dress code or literally nothing. I think
I think they have a dress code. They just don't have uniform.
yeah, like, I feel like a dress code would just be like, most high schools have dress codes, really. I mean, these days, I don't see many places on social media where they're wearing uniforms or anything. So
Yeah, they would usually like if I see uniform, it would be like a foreign country, like somewhere in Asia,
yeah.
or like a private school.
Yes. No, over here in the West, they don't really do all that. But that also kind of goes back into the punishments. What exactly is the punishment for a write-up in charter?
So, do you guys have a demerit system here in Perth Amboy High?
A what?
A demerit system?
No.
No. So basically, I'm gonna say crime, but it's not really a crime. But every crime you commit, you get a certain amount of demerits, and there's different levels, like levels 1, 2, and 3. So
I think we do have that.
yeah, so if you get dress coded, I believe that's level 2, and you get 7 demerits. So that's an after-school
we don't have a
detention.
point
A
system.
level 2 for
Yeah, we have.
dress
It's
code?
in the student book, right?
They don't. We have different level offenses. Like let's say
Oh.
level 1 offense is not wearing uniform. Level 2 offense is like
Oh, yeah,
punching
point
someone in the face, and level 3 offense is like arson. So we don't have a point system.
That's actually weird. Level 2 offense in charters not coming in uniform.
Yeah, that's
that's
what I was
wild.
just about to
Yeah.
ask. How if that's a level 2, what's a level 1?
Level 1, I believe, not cleaning up after lunch. It's something small.
Do you watch that? I
Yeah.
mean, obviously they should.
Cursing is level 1 as well in class. Level 3, it's like fighting, possession of paraphernalia, like bullying, stuff like that.
Okay.
So they put fighting and like arson would be on the same level.
Yeah. Yeah, that's actually what happens.
Yeah, maybe they should be like one level off of each other, but like them at the same level is kind of crazy.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting because last year, you would get 7 demerits no matter what. You still get 7 demerits if you come out of uniform. But last year, they would keep you in the ISS room. It was like downstairs in a basement in a separate building. You would just sit there for the whole day.
They throw you in the basement.
Yeah, they just throw you in the basement.
That is wild.
Yeah, lock you in the basement. Yeah, they either keep you there the whole day or until a parent comes in with like uniform.
So
What?
you got 7 demerits per year?
No, you get 7 demerits every time you come out of uniform. Each offense has a different amount of demerits.
I see. And then, all right, this is something completely random and might be controversial, but do you guys have a self-defense rule in charter?
Okay, here's the thing about that. For a long time, both parties would get suspended no matter what. But what they're trying to do now, they're trying to like actually have investigations to see who's at fault, who's at not. But from what I've seen, there's really it's not doing it justice. I've seen multiple instances where the person that started the fight gets off scot-free and the innocent one gets suspended.
Wow.
Especially now, that's happening now more than ever. That's happened 4 times this year.
4 times?
4 times.
Times already.
It's October.
Yeah. Yeah, the ironic part is that 3 of the times was with the same person. And they,
No.
and they didn't get suspended for either of them.
Like the Joker.
Exactly.
Just going around punching people, get away.
It doesn't matter. It's just, I don't know. It dies of inconsistency because if you're not really doing it justice to your students, then what's the point? You're not doing a good job at saying who started it or not.
Yeah, I'm not exact on the rules here, but personally, I feel like I definitely do see why they just say punish everyone, because it is kind of hard to launch an investigation.
Yeah.
But I feel like in cases where it is very obvious who initiated it,
Yeah.
there should definitely be the self-defense
I feel like
there.
the first time maybe you get confused, but like the second and third time, it's like, come on.
Especially because I feel like there's no way the administrator or whoever the who's doing the actual punishing, everyone's recording with their phone.
Obviously.
Yeah.
So-
And those videos are not hard to find.
Exactly. Like, being honest, it is pretty easy to tell who started it.
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes the videos be like, you know, like every fight video, like they're shaking.
You know
Yeah,
the
they're
fight.
shaking. You hear
They
it.
like start in the
like,
middle, like
Upside down, like they fall or something, and like.
Yeah.
But you can definitely piece it together, especially in a school like this. You know, we got good security, we have cameras. You know, like it should be very easy to tell. I actually don't know if we have a self-defense system.
I don't know either. But honestly, because of that, going into the cell phones thing, I honestly kind of like our cell phone rules in this school.
yeah, they're not that bad.
Like, I feel it's good that you're able to use it in the classroom, even as long as you have the permission. And I love this. I don't know if this was like this the other years, even though they never really cared. But I love that now in writing, they made it so that if you're in the hallway and outside the classroom, you're officially allowed to use your phone.
Yeah.
Like, it is in writing that as long as you're not in the classroom, you're allowed to use your phone.
That's
Yeah, it's nice.
interesting.
Yeah, I really like that, honestly. Because, I honestly feel like cell phones, as long as you use them right, they're beneficial. They have way more benefits than actual cons.
I mean, they have quite a lot of cons, though.
Actually, yeah.
There are a
yeah.
lot of
It-
cons.
do
I know
agree.
Francis. He was the expert on the cell phone because that's one of our topics.
Yeah.
no,
The first thing I wanted to dwell on was TikTok. That's a whole topic in and of itself. So, what does TikTok really do to school? What do you guys think?
I mean, I know we had a controversy of TikTok in this school.
Last
People doing
year.
TikTok trends, and I know there's always like the meme that TikTok killed my attention span. Like I can't watch YouTube videos anymore.
Yeah.
I personally haven't. Like I'm good with that. I can still watch YouTube videos, but I know some people like it's bad.
I feel like personally for me, it has a little bit like lowered down my attention span. Because I remember in like middle school, I would be like sharp. Like I would like read a whole paragraph start to finish, like nonstop. And now like, especially since like freshman year, I started using TikTok. It's like really hard to read a paragraph without like dazing off, like, just a little bit.
A paragraph?
Like a big paragraph.
Oh, okay.
But like,
That's less.
I was about
a big
to.
Five
not like a 5 sentence.
Five
paragraph, but,
sentences. You can't be really
it's like,
concerned.
what if it's like something in like the SAT, not the SAT, but like a big like English test.
Yeah.
There's like a huge like wall of text. Like
Yeah.
The SAT was. Sorry, that was off topic.
Yeah.
But this last SAT, was interesting.
Yeah, but I feel like because I've been using TikTok like a lot. Like literally every time I'm in the bathroom and pooping. You know?
You
But, like, but like yeah, a lot of this like if I'm on a long car drive, if I'm in like literally anywhere, like I'm opening up TikTok, I'm scrolling through videos, and a lot of the videos are like 10, like 20, 30 seconds long, which is like if I get used to like only watching 20, 30-second videos, like what would that do to my
Yeah.
brain, you know? Like
Yeah.
how like I'm not gonna be used to like focusing on like a 3-minute video.
No, I actually never thought about that. That's actually very interesting. I've
Yeah.
never like heard someone talk about their experience with like that. Because me personally, maybe it happened to me and I just haven't realized it. But me personally, I feel like I'm still fine. It hasn't affected me too much. So that's actually the first time I hear someone.
But I feel like
about
yeah,
that
attention span is the
specifically.
only thing it did to me. Like everything else, like I'm pretty much chilling.
But no, like, just in general, I was checking my phone, like battery usage and stuff. I'm on my phone a lot more of TikTok because whenever I have free time, I'm tired or something, I'm on TikTok. Like, I'll be on my bed on TikTok, accidentally fall asleep 3 hours later,
Interesting, though.
didn't do any of my.
Let me just
Check it out.
You gotta delete it. Oh no, I gotta check.
screen time.
Oh, that's about to be bad.
Oh, let me check mine actually.
Let's all check. You have TikTok?
No.
Good.
Use reels.
I don't watch any short form of like short video.
Oh, my bad, Mr. Good Kid.
YouTube Shorts.
YouTube Shorts.
All right. So
This is a very educational part of the podcast.
out of this whole week, I've used TikTok 6 hours.
Screen time.
Okay, so in the last 2 days,
Actually, I have more on Instagram than TikTok.
my bad, not in the last 2 days.
I have 35 minutes of screen time today, and 20 of them were from Google Classroom.
Oh my
35 minutes of
God.
Screen time.
I'm not joking.
I had 4 hours.
I only checked mine. Yeah, I had 4 hours. Yeah, almost 5.
Today?
Yeah.
Okay, so today alone, we were in school, so obviously a little less than a weekend or something. No, honestly, in the weekends I use my phone less than in school.
Yeah,
Probably,
definitely.
yeah.
I'm
Yeah,
chilling
actually,
on my
yeah,
computer.
that's true.
No, not even on my computer. It's just
I'd
because
be
here
out.
in school, whenever I get bored or I'm done with anything that I'm like, I have a lot of downtime in school if I'm done early. So I'll just be on my phone. And so as of today, like today alone, I have used TikTok for 1 hour 37 minutes.
Wow.
I've used it for 3 hours.
As of today?
Yeah. Last 10 days, I don't even want to share it. Last 10 days, I've used TikTok for 40 hours. I don't even work 40 hours.
Wow.
I'm
That's,
kind of locked down.
got-
Maybe it's worse than I thought. I'm not gonna lie. Like,
Okay, I got 28 minutes today.
I'm
20
locked
minutes.
in.
Alright, that's not bad. Yeah.
But yeah.
Very interesting, actually.
My attention span is fine. I got this done. Fine.
I mean, regardless, I don't really have much time for that because I know AUL, they're very strict on phones. Like, I don't know if I've mentioned this before, but we're not allowed to use phones in any capacity whatsoever.
Really?
No matter what, in class, during lunch, either.
Lunch?
Yeah,
Lunch is
we
nuts.
can't use that at all.
You just like, when you're done with your lunch, you just stare at the wall or something?
I
You talk, probably.
talk, play cards, I don't know, do anything
yeah.
but use your phone.
Yeah, but like,
Kind of reminds me of NJIT, Josh. You
Yeah.
remember that?
oh my God.
You guys gonna use your phones in
Yeah, they're not even recess. We had recess, and we would be outside. We can't.
Yeah, like they literally
Interesting.
like I remember I was the worst. I was playing Clash Royale. I was like one game away from getting to the next arena. This guy's like, if you don't put away your phone right now, I'm taking it away for the rest of the day. And I lost. I got heated.
But I feel like in NGIT, that summer school, I guess, that program, there you go.
Yeah.
In that summer program, I feel like in a way, at least for like banning it during recess, it was kind of beneficial,
Yeah.
at least from my experience, because that's how I built a lot of like my friendships. Because we just
Yeah.
played with like a tennis
Yeah.
ball. We would play catch, and then that's how I got to know people.
Yeah, we made a lot of friends there. I don't know if, I mean, I remember how we met most of everybody. I played Clash Royale really loudly.
Yeah, literally.
They all looked at me
Yeah.
because they all play Clash Royale. I mean, but yeah, I mean, like phones, I can get how they could like mess up social interactions. Like I just realized what I said when you said you couldn't use your phones. My immediate thought is that you do nothing. I sort of forgot you could just talk.
Yeah.
Like I'm not trying to say I'm on my phone the whole time during my lunch period, but let's say it's quiet. Like I share lunch period with Juan. If the table's quiet, I will look around. All like 5 of us are on our phones. I'm joining right in. I'm on TikTok.
Yeah. I feel like the ironic part about that is that the reason we have this policy in the first place, this is new, this happened in September, is because we've had an influx in fights. And their immediate reaction was like, social media is a burning ground for like hate. So if we take that away, no more drama.
But the thing is that most social media interactions happen outside of school. I feel.
Exactly. So I feel like that's kind of contradictory. If anything, a lot of people just like say their beef to someone's face. Like if they have a problem with someone, they'll just go up to them. Yeah, they're not gonna text them. If they're in the same school, you can just walk up to them.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah, I feel like that's a little redundant, but
Yeah. It's like a band-aid solution. That's not even a good
it's
band-aid.
like you're jumping
like a
to
knockoff
You're
Band-Aid.
really jumping to conclusions there.
Yeah. All right, guys. We unfortunately had to do a cut due to some, I guess, technical difficulties. We had to do a cut, and we were discussing about cell phones and bullying. And I think Juan was talking.
yeah, I was just mentioning, I don't know how much we caught, but I was just mentioning how in charter, what's the name of the school exactly?
Academy for Urban Leadership.
What's the acronym? What's the acronym?
AUL.
Okay, in AUL's phone policy, they took it off just because people were recording fights, and that seems a little redundant.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know. Fights will spread by word of mouth. They'll spread by. I'm pretty sure I've seen a picture of a guy recording a fight with a laptop like this. Like, people will find a way to record fights. People will find a way to, like. Yeah, it's like.
It's a very bad band-aid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I do feel like the punishment is like a little over the, like not even a little over the top. I think it's just over the top, period. But I also think, like, to an extent, that cell phones are like a big catalyst towards like a lot of bullying in
Oh,
schools.
definitely.
Yeah.
Especially online.
Yeah, I mean, I know it's fine for us now, I guess, because we're like, we're more mature seniors in high school. But I know the middle schools can get vicious,
For real.
especially show school. I mean, I'm not trying to drill on schools, but I know show schools had some behavioral problems recently, and last year as well. So, I mean, yeah, cyberbullying. I know it's a type of thing where like we don't take it very serious because it doesn't happen to us, but some kids like. I can't imagine going on Instagram, looking at your DM, and see 5 people saying all this stuff about you, all the stuff they're gonna do to you. It's just gonna, it sucks.
Then you see, and then that leads to a thing that social media is mainly not used in school. Like cyberbullying isn't gonna stop just because they take phones away.
Yeah.
Instead, what the school can focus on is actual like punishment and counseling.
Yeah.
Like instead of
Yeah.
focusing on the phones and just taking them away when they're acting like right after school they can still control who uses the phone and who doesn't. So instead they should focus more on like actual counseling and the actual punishment for bullying. Because I don't know exactly here. I haven't gone through it too much, but I've heard of a lot of cases where schools just don't catch it.
Yeah.
And it just goes on for years and years. And even with the victim talking, they just don't catch it. They don't do anything.
Because like it's not in school. I guess they just don't care enough. At least that's how it looks like to us. Looks like they don't care.
Exactly. That's how it looks to all the students. Because what else can you think?
But I mean, yeah, social media, like especially like, then there's all this stuff with looking at people on social media, thinking I want to be like that person, insecurities, all that type of stuff does stem from social media. And I mean, sometimes I'll be looking at social media, see guys like jacked, built, like damn, I wish I was like him. Oh my god. But yeah, and it's definitely like it starts young. Like now that kids are getting phones when they're younger and younger, I got my phone like in 7th grade, and I know there are some kids who are getting their phone in like elementary school.
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
like people like older people like my aunt and uncle were saying like, oh, you got a phone too young. I got my phone like towards my birthday in 6th grade. And for a lot of people that was very young, but now I'm hearing like 3rd graders, 3rd, 4th graders max getting phones, like brand new iPhones, and I'm like, huh? Like I thought I was bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it is crazy.
I don't
like,
believe I had a cell phone until like 8th grade.
yeah,
around
it
there.
was until 7th.
And even then, I thought that was like too early. But some people like 2nd grade.
I
Even kindergartners, they're like glued to their iPads.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh, iPad kids. That's
my
one
God.
of my worst fears. I don't want an iPad kid. Bro.
yeah, like me personally, I know like really switching the topic to parenting, but I am not leaving my kid an iPad, anything electronic.
Definitely.
I don't want to walk in the room, see my kid. Watching some
Look,
Coco
my
Melon.
kid, he's gonna grow up with electronics. I love electronics. He's definitely gonna have them. It's just he's not gonna be an iPad kid.
Exactly.
Like there has to be
Yeah.
limits. Like everything's good in moderation. I'm a firm believer in that, and I'm also a firm believer in every good thing. The good thing being electronics. I personally feel like they have a lot of benefits. Every good thing can turn bad if it's too much. So. And we're switching the topic too much to parenting. We're not having like a dad podcast. Let's go
Yeah,
back to like
like-
schools.
Yeah, so just in general, I mean, kids who are getting phones younger and younger, they're experiencing cyberbullying younger and younger. And I mean, I feel like there's a big difference between getting called like a fart face in 4th grade and then somebody like having like 50 people text you about how much they hate you. Like it could really be like a big difference. Like it could be traumatizing to a kid. And these kids are
Definitely.
growing up online on social media and stuff. Like it completely changes their worldview from somebody like us who lived throughout their early childhood with, I guess, just not electronics. No,
Yeah, it's definitely
like a
different.
family PC or something, not an iPhone.
Yeah, and I feel like a lot of schools don't really acknowledge the issue. They kind of spend more time on like other things, like for example, uniforms. it really takes away from the more important things that they could be trying to work on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but that's just my thoughts on it. I don't really.
We somehow always manage
Yeah,
to turn
it's
the
a full
convo around
circle,
to
you know?
uniform.
It
Yeah.
all
all
goes back to uniform.
It's all connected. But
Yeah.
I wanted to talk more about how trends, like social media trends, affect school environments. So this one, devious licks, they really interested me. Now let me talk about it for a second. I didn't think, like back then, before it was a thing, I didn't think that like these social media trends would affect school that much. I feel like it would go to like a certain extent, and then like people wouldn't like go too crazy just because like I just thought, you know, they're not gonna be like that. And then devious licks shows up, and then these people are like skeeving out like toilets and sinks. They're like putting desks in their bags, and they're just taking them home. And like I never thought like, and it's like it's not even like just like 1 or 2 schools did it. Like this was happening across the country.
I'm honestly very shocked we didn't have a big problem.
Yeah,
know, I
but
mean-
like I was just seeing them on TikTok, like these people like taking out like a whole sink in the bathroom. Like it just shocked me. Like,
No.
and like I looked more into it, and I realized that these like have actual consequences. Obviously, like some of them will cost up to like $7,000 in vandalism and damages, and these kids are like being charged with like actual crimes like vandalism and all that. So it just like it just made me wonder like what's the limit? Like how are people gonna like stop going crazy? It's gonna like keep growing.
Yeah,
like,
I
you
know. We didn't have devious licks. We had another issue for trend. I'm not gonna go into specifics because I don't want to be next on the chopping block. But we had a trend. Kids got really like suspended hard. And
Yeah, I think it was like a video
It
of
was a
like a lot of
video.
people in it.
Yeah,
and, like, all the
all
people in the video got
gone.
suspended.
And
And you said they had like a therapist with them as well. Like they had to go into therapy for like a couple of days.
yeah, I think one said that. Like,
You see, I believe it was a little over the
A
top,
little.
personally, but I can also see
I
their
get
point of view because at the end of the day, it worked. No one did it
yeah,
again.
no one's doing that.
No
You don't
one's
see anybody
that.
doing TikTok.
I mean,
here.
no one did it because like the punishment was just so over the top. Like I
Yeah,
think that
like,
was it.
It was
Like,
crazy.
yeah.
Not just that, but I find it so ironic that when that happened, it was right before the lockdown, the mini lockdown we had last year for a month. It was right before holiday
Oh
break,
yeah.
and then we had like a month or so off school, like the entire month of January
Yeah, I
we
think,
were
yeah.
online again.
Yeah.
That was a very interesting time.
Let's not go off topic again.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're
it was
right.
an
You're right.
interesting time.
Yeah,
And-
it's for another episode.
But I mean, yeah, just in general, cell phones. They have the pros and cons, in my opinion. Like, it just depends how old you give them. Like, we're high schoolers. We have self-discipline. Most of us have self-discipline. We can handle our phone usage. But I feel like in some like earlier schools, maybe we do need to ban cell phones in elementary schools, for example,
Yeah.
because it just feel right. It does not feel
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
kids at that age should not have a phone. Like that's wild.
There is a reason why social media sites have a minimum age. Like everyone lies
Yeah.
about their age, but like when you go on how you said TikTok or Instagram and you check someone's page or something, and all of a sudden you see they're like in like sixth grade or something, it just does not look right.
It does not make sense.
Yeah.
Literally.
Like no. And overall, it breeds like it's kind of like a ground for them to be influenced too much about
Oh,
too much by
definitely.
other people.
Yeah, especially like elementary schools. That's really a time where you're supposed to develop your personality and your character. But if you're just spending it on the internet, looking at like dumb trends or whatever people are doing, you're really not gonna.
Exactly.
You're not gonna be the most like fun person to be
Yeah, like,
around.
You're developed kind of by the people around you. Like that's honestly why I respect elementary and middle school teachers a lot. Like a lot of people don't give them credit, but they play a very big part into like a child's upbringing. Like it's honestly crazy. But then when you kind of take away from that, when there's social media, and that's kind of like a factor they can't really control.
Yeah.
So
I wanted to add more on that like influence thing, like people's like thoughts and everything, because it actually happened to me in like 7th and 8th grade. I'm sure Josh knows about this, but in 8th grade I had this really like strong conservative period where I was just like a Trump supporter. I was like pro-gun. I was like all that. It was like it was insane, and a lot of that was because I was like on Instagram a lot, and a lot of like the meme community back then was conservative. Like they were making fun of Greta Thunberg. They were saying Hillary for prison, all that, and it was just so wild to me because like I had no idea what they were talking about, but I agree with them because it was so like simple.
not even the FBI can get this info out of me.
Yeah,
you can,
not say that out
Batman,
loud.
Batman can get that info out of me.
Pro-
But I mean,
I'm just glad that I grew out of it and I
yeah,
learned from
man.
it.
8th grade, I'm not gonna lie too. I mean, I was a bit into that pipe. They call it the alt-right pipeline, basically, where you see stuff. It's like agreeable stuff. Like we are really off topic.
Yes.
We're going into politics.
It's
That's
Yeah, we're
very
going-
dangerous.
You're getting a little too personal.
Doesn't
I'm
matter,
not
doesn't
gonna
matter.
lie.
I'm just saying that yeah, social media can provide a lot of misinformation, and like the alt-right pipeline is a thing where it'll show you very conservative points of views, and you won't even realize it.
Yeah.
And it's just a big part of it, and that could apply to literally anything. It doesn't have to be
Yeah.
just politics. It could be literally even another country's propaganda. Could
Yeah,
literally
not
be
to say that either side is bad, but being radically one-sided on anything is very bad, and that's something that social media can
Yeah.
They
kind of make you do.
polarize.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I only
definitely.
brought that up, the thing in 8th grade, because like I was just so easily influenced. Like I barely knew anything about this, and I was just like, yeah, I support it. I hate liberals. Yeah.
And then once you kind of get out that mini phase you have, you start actually like being able to like
Make your own thoughts. Like when you're that young, you don't really think of yourself. You can't make decisions for yourself. You're kind of influenced very easily. So that goes back to why there's like I feel like phones should not be given to like elementary schoolers and stuff like that, because they're very easily swayed.
Definitely.
So once you're a bit older, I don't know the exact age, but around like your mid-teens or so, you start being able to actually form your own thoughts and actually seeing like the world, like having your own view on the world, basically, making your own decisions. So yeah.
And I mean, I think we did a lot on cell phones and uniforms. So for our last topic to finish it off, we are going to be touching on single-sex schools. So
That's an interesting one.
That is.
You want to talk about private schools specifically? 'Cause actually, yeah, single-sex schools.
single-sex schools are their own like league. I mean, I did a bit of research on it, and it's just single-sex schools. Obviously, all guys, all girls. And from what I've seen, they do actually perform academically better.
Yeah.
They've shown that they get higher scores on standardized testing, which is like a whole nother can of worms. But standardized testing, they go higher. I think generally their stuff is higher, but I feel like such a draining social aspect.
Exactly.
Your developmental years, because some of these might go from like K to 12. K to 12, you don't see girls, you don't see guys for basically your whole adolescence.
You're too locked in. Like, once, if you go to single sex school for a very long time, you're very limited socially. Like, I believe, like, being social is one of the most important things you can have. So the fact that you are so limited and you have almost no contact with the opposite gender, that would be very bad with another gender. But overall, though, I definitely do see why, for example, behavioral issues could definitely go down. As how you said, the actual education itself, they produce better test scores and all that. But studying isn't everything.
Yeah.
You still got to think about the fact, like, exactly, like socially.
But single-sex
Yeah.
schools do have social benefits. From what I was reading, especially in the female schools, gender norms are very, obviously not really shown well. Like, it is far easier for a female to go into more male-dominated fields, like STEM, for example. And it's a lot easier for men in single-sex schools to go to more female-dominated fields, like, I can't think of any examples, but yeah, more female-dominated fields.
Nursing.
Yeah, that was what I was saying,
I
nursing.
think teaching is also very female-dominating.
You got
I
it.
want to be a teacher.
I think the thing about single-sex schools is that a large majority of them, especially K through 12, they're religious, largely religious, and I just feel
Yeah.
like it's obviously a little personal, but me personally, I'm not religious. I don't really believe like Christianity or Catholicism, but I think that when you have a single-sex school, K through 12, and you have this child that you're raising them, they're growing to be an adult, that really hinders them socially because they're kind of given this like hive mentality that this is all they know. Like they're only gonna see the same gender, the same principles. It's just constantly instilled in their brain. I feel like that might do more harm than good if they went to like a normal public school. I don't see the benefit of single-sex schools in that context. I feel like post-secondary education, like a college, like maybe an all-girls like college, that's fine.
Yeah,
At that point, it's a
definitely
choice. You're choosing to go there.
Yeah.
But K to 12, I don't really see it.
Not just that, but there's very like I haven't heard anyone say this, but I personally don't like K to 12 schools because you're kind of locked in the same environment for a very long time.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Like I like going from elementary, middle, high school because you're kind of put into different environments. You're kind of forced to adapt, so it helps you a lot. While if you're just in the same school basically your entire life,
That's wild.
and then you just get tossed into like the real world just out of nowhere, it's gonna be a lot harder if you're not used to something completely different.
I also think it's kind of concerning that you could have like a 18-year-old kid in the same room as like a 7-year-old. That's a little concerning.
It's just
In the
yeah,
same
it's
school building,
weird.
Yeah.
that's a bit iffy.
Me personally, I just believe that throughout your life you should have a change of environment every once in a while just to help you adapt. If you're just used to the same thing over and over, I mean, that's not really how it is.
And I've had my fair share of encounters with the opposite sex, and some of them haven't gone very well. But I've learned, I've grown. That's the important part.
Yeah, that's
and
really
I
important.
value those experiences because I wouldn't be the man I was today if I was in an all-boys school.
Yeah, but the thing is that this is the four of us here. There's some kids out there that they can't really say that. There's some kids that, like Francis elaborated, like in 8th grade, he was very like easily influenced. There's some kids that haven't outgrown that stage. So that's kind of an issue. There's some kids that really don't know the cutoff point because maybe in their head there is no cutoff point. This is just how it is for the rest of their life. So I really think it's interesting how social media is a breeding ground for like cultivating like insecurities and just a bunch of issues and conflict. So that's very interesting.
I definitely agree. Social media is very fake. You have to be able to sort through the fake and the actual real.
Yeah, and
Yeah,
you can't expect every user to just know the difference between good, like right and wrong, especially since you're giving phones to like little kids.
Exactly, and that's kind of one of the risks of social media. And it also goes into learning and all. And kids can't assess those risks though. So that all goes back to how little kids should not be able to have phones or social media.
But they should have uniforms.
Little kids?
Little kids, I mean, like,
I don't know about that. I mean, I haven't looked into it, obviously.
I mean,
That's why.
I haven't looked. I can't really say my.
That's a
opinion
very
on that.
interesting premise,
That's
though.
my first one.
Should
That's-
like a 4th grader have a uniform?
they don't really have the chance to express themselves, but then again, they're not the age where they really found themselves yet. So
I was just trying to tie it back to uniforms. To be honest.
Yeah, you can also make the argument that because of that, it's better that they find themselves when they're younger.
yeah, if you have
They won't really
uniform,
have
if you have uniforms, it would
Yeah.
hinder them. Like, oh yeah, I'm just gonna be rendered to
They won't
this.
have the opportunity to actually express
Yeah,
themselves.
I am the school is me. Like that type of mentality.
Exactly. So
True.
It definitely helps school spirit.
For
It might help it
kindergarten.
too much though.
Yeah.
But going back to single-sex schools, because we went pretty off topic, I feel like there are a lot of benefits to single-sex schools, and the one I was most interested in is obviously the gender roles, because obviously you're not really gonna experience very much like issues with, say, like discrimination for gender. I mean, obviously it still exists because just of the world we live in, but I feel like it's a lot less, and it could be one of the few environments that a male or a guy or girl could experience in like their adolescence years where it's, I guess, somewhat free of that sexism. I feel like it gives them an important like almost advantage over kids who just go to regular schools called co-ed schools or co-ed school.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just thought about this. I have a cousin in the Philippines who attends a single-sex school, all girls.
Interesting.
Yeah. Obviously, I obviously should have asked her about it like beforehand when I was doing the research for this, but I don't know, something. Maybe next episode.
That's
After this, I'll ask her, get some feedback. Maybe
Get her
because
on the
it'll be.
show.
It's very interesting. I want to see like what the environment is
Yeah,
like.
we're really only brushing on this topic. I would love to go more in depth in it because it is very interesting. Because, you know, for all these topics about like punishment and uniforms and all that, we generally have pretty clear-cut consensus between us. I feel like single-sex schools, it has very clear benefits and very clear downsides, and you just have to see do the pros outweigh the cons.
Yeah.
Yeah, not just that, but I feel like this is one of those topics that most of us haven't really gone through. So it would honestly be very interesting to see, like, to actually research and actually learn about it. Because all these other topics, to be honest, I didn't really have to look up a lot because we ourselves went through it. Like, we have the experience with it, but single-sex
Single-sex
schools,
school is different.
none of us here have actually attended one.
And also, obviously, for a topic like that, I would have preferred to have female representation. We usually we usually would have guests on this show, but since it's our first episode, we do not. So if we ever do go back to this topic, we're definitely gonna have female representation.
But other than the school we have now, some of us have gone through similar experiences, some of us haven't. The whole point is that this is a discussion of like different topics. We're contemplating this together.
Obviously.
Yeah.
I like that. part.
Contemplating about our experience in education.
But it's
Yeah.
important to obviously not speak for women. Just in
Yeah.
general, like just have the viewpoints, because that's the whole thing about this podcast: expressing different viewpoints and different, I guess, just opinions on the education system. And I feel like this is a good time to wrap up the first episode.
All right.
So
How do we outro this?
I did not think of an outro, but I guess this is our first episode of Education Contemplation. If you sat through this whole thing, thank you very much. The next episodes will hopefully be better. So
This was a very, like, trial. This was
Yeah.
just a free trial, you
Yeah.
know?
This is a
And it's pretty good, to
precedent.
be honest.
Yeah.
contemplate, education contemplation will return. And all right, wait,
Yep.
bye.
See ya.
Man.